Alright, before we jump in, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at an enterprise network diagram and wondered how all these users are separated, secured, and still able to communicate with each other? Or maybe you're learning networking, and VLANs feel like one of those topics that makes sense on paper, but not fully in real life. If that sounds like you, you're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Bluehat Cybersec Academy. Today, we're going to walk through one of the most important foundations in networking, VLANs and Inter-VLAN Routing. This isn't just certification theory. This is how real networks are designed, deployed, and troubleshot every single day. Think of this like a conversation, as if we're standing in a network lab together, tracing traffic flows and breaking things down step by step. So let's start at the very beginning and answer a simple but critical question. What exactly is a VLAN? A VLAN, short for Virtual Local Area Network, is a way to logically divide a physical network. Even though devices might be plugged into the same physical switch, VLANs allow us to separate them into completely different logical networks. Each VLAN becomes its own Layer 2 broadcast domain. And that point is extremely important. Devices inside the same VLAN can communicate freely. Devices in different VLANs cannot communicate at all, unless routing is involved. That behavior is intentional, and it's the foundation of secure network design. Now, why do we even bother using VLANs in the first place? Imagine a flat network with no VLANs. Every broadcast goes everywhere. Performance drops as the network grows. Security boundaries are almost non-existent. Now introduce VLANs. Broadcast traffic stays contained. Departments are logically separated. Security improves dramatically, and the network becomes far easier to scale. That's why VLANs are not optional in modern enterprise networks. They're essential. Let's make this more real with an example. Think about a typical company environment. HR systems hold sensitive employee information. Finance handles critical financial data. IT needs broad access for administration and troubleshooting. Guests should only have internet access, nothing internal. So instead of building separate physical networks, we create VLANs. HR gets its own VLAN. Finance gets another. ET operates in a separate VLAN. Guests are isolated in their own VLAN entirely. Same switches, same cabling, completely different logical networks. That's the real power of VLANs. Now, there are a few VLAN fundamentals every network engineer must know without hesitation. VLAN IDs range from 1 to 4094. VLAN 1 is the default VLAN, and here's a best practice worth remembering early in your career. Avoid using VLAN 1 in production networks. Next, let's talk about how VLANs actually connect to devices, starting with access ports. Access ports are simple. They belong to one VLAN only. These are the ports where end devices connect. PCs, printers, IP phones. One port, one VLAN. Straightforward. But things change when we need to carry traffic for multiple VLANs at once. That's where trunk ports come in. Trunk ports are designed to carry traffic from multiple VLANs simultaneously. You'll see trunk links between switches and routers, and between switches and Layer 3 switches. To make this possible, VLAN information is added to Ethernet frames using something called 802.1q tagging. So let's talk about what's actually happening with trunking. When traffic moves across a trunk link, 802.1q inserts a small tag into the Ethernet frame. That tag tells the receiving device exactly which VLAN the frame belongs to. VLAN 10, VLAN 20, VLAN 30, and so on. There's one important detail here. The native VLAN is not tagged. By default, the native VLAN is VLAN 1. And again, best practice, change it. Now here's where many people hit a mental roadblock. Even though VLANs help us separate traffic, they also create isolation. And that leads us to a critical rule you must remember. VLANs do not communicate with each other by default. That's not a limitation. That's a feature. But in real networks, communication is required. Users need access to servers. Applications span multiple VLANs. Everyone needs internet access. To make that happen, we need inter-VLAN routing, and routing always happens at Layer 3. So, at a high level, inter-VLAN routing simply means traffic moving from one VLAN to another through a routing device. There are 3 common ways this is done, and we'll walk through them from oldest to most modern. The first method is legacy inter-VLAN routing. This design uses a separate physical router interface for each VLAN, one router port. It works, but honestly, it doesn't scale. You quickly run out of interfaces. It's expensive, and it's largely outdated. You'll almost never see this approach in modern networks these days. The second method is something you'll encounter much more often: router on a stick. This design uses one physical router interface, multiple logical sub-interfaces, and a trunk link between the switch and the router. Each sub-interface represents a VLAN. Each one has a VLAN ID, an IP address, and acts as the default gateway for that VLAN. Router on a stick is popular because it's cost-effective, easy to understand, and simple to deploy. But it does have a trade-off. All inter-VLAN traffic flows through a single physical link, and that link can become a bottleneck. That brings us to the modern enterprise approach. Instead of sending traffic to a router, Layer 3 switches perform routing internally. This is done using switched virtual interfaces, or SVIs. Each VLAN gets an SVI. Each SVI gets an IP address. That IP address becomes the default gateway for the VLAN. Routing happens directly inside the switch hardware. Fast, efficient, highly scalable. For campus and enterprise networks, this is the preferred design. Just remember one key detail: routing must be enabled on the Layer 3 switch. So, which option should you use? For small networks, router on a stick works perfectly fine. For medium to large environments, Layer 3 switches are the clear winner. They offer better performance, cleaner designs, and far greater scalability. Before we wrap up, let's talk about best practices you'll actually use in the real world. Design VLANs logically. Separate users, servers, management, and guest traffic. Avoid VLAN 1 everywhere. Use ACLs to control traffic between VLANs, especially for guest and IoT devices. And when something isn't working, remember this: most inter-VLAN routing problems are actually Layer 2 issues. Wrong VLAN assignments, incorrect trunk configurations, missing allowed VLANs. Always check Layer 2 first. So let me leave you with this. If you truly understand VLAN concepts, trunking, inter-VLAN routing, router on a stick, and Layer 3 switching with SVIs, you can confidently design and troubleshoot almost any enterprise LAN. This isn't just exam knowledge. This is real-world networking. Thanks for watching Bluehat Cybersec Academy. If this video added value to your day, give it a like, share it with someone who could benefit, and subscribe for more practical, real-world networking and cybersecurity content. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how you're applying these concepts in your labs or production networks. See you next time. Stay focused, stay secure, and keep building your skills.